Welcome to the Women in Industry podcast. We're on season 2 now, and today I'm joined by Laura Davies. Laura is the founder and managing director of Marshall Harmony, and Marshall Harmony provide both executive recruitment and general recruitment in the West Midlands, Shropshire, Staffordshire as well, focusing on manufacturing, engineering and distribution sectors. They do stress that finding the right recruitment partner is essential in today's fast-moving and competitive job market, and they're keen to prove that recruitment is an investment rather than a cost. And we all know how difficult it is to employ the right people, and the skill shortage and all of that we've been talking about for the last couple of years. And getting the right people on the bus is certainly something that we've found challenging over the last few years. So welcome, Laura. Thank you so much for doing this.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So we're called Women in Industry, and some people might go, oh, recruitment's not in industry, or industrial companies, mechanical engineering, anything like that, need people they can either train or that are qualified to run their CAD machines or lasers or polishing lines. And it can be a full-time job trying to recruit the right people. And of course, recruitment is your full-time job.
It is.
So how did you get into it, and when did you set up Marshall Harmony? Because you've been doing it a long time.
I've been in recruitment 24 years and I temped at Brook Street, and I went into the office and they said, have you ever considered doing recruitment? And 13 years later, I was still working for them. I then did a 3-year stint at Interaction, where it was a much more senior role, more involved from sort of a leadership capacity. And I wanted to bring recruitment and my values together, the way that I do recruitment, from sort of an honesty and an integrity, and a very personal, sort of perspective, which is why I set Marshall Harmony up. So initially, Marshall Harmony was 3 years under an umbrella. So the person that actually got me the job at Interaction said, have you considered setting up on your own? And at that point, I wasn't ready to do it all on my own. So I was under her umbrella. Unfortunately, I was quite poorly during that time, but it actually gave me the opportunity to assess things and realise everything I do is for my kids. And that's where Marshall Harmony came from. Marshall Harmony is actually my children's middle names. So it was founded 3 years ago in February. And now I've got a team around me as well. So, yeah.
I think it's a shame it tends to be seen as unique to women. I think we're moving forwards now where fathers who want to, have a better work-life balance are being taken seriously.
Yeah.
And that's great to see. But with women doing the majority of the sort of the work at home, from packing the school lunchboxes, doing the school run and everything else a lot of the time. I know that's a mass generalisation.
Being able house.
No.
Teacher. So he does all the school runs. He does,
wow.
He was getting all the holidays off with them. So now, I'm not answerable to anybody in terms of when I could be off. We've got a really, really good balance here. So yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous. I did it the other way around. I sent my son to boarding school, and it was just like, it's just easier. but as a rule, a lot of women take on that home heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And setting up something where you've got your pillars in place that, you want to do this for your children in the future.
Yeah.
You mentioned about sort of integrity and honesty and things like that, which were your principles in how you did business, and you wanted to imbue Marshall Harmony with that. Your strapline's actually placing people first.
Yeah.
Take me through that. Take me through the thinking behind that when you set up on your own, how did you want to do things differently?
I'll be honest, recruitment's not got a great reputation, and I'm quite ashamed of the industry that I'm in a lot of ways. I hear a lot of horror stories from both clients and candidates. And for me, the placing people first relates to the candidate and the client, but also my staff. So it sort of embodies everything for me. When I'm working with a client, I'm placing them first, but I'm also placing the candidate first, but also the way that, they are with my staff and with me, we're placing that first. So it's all people. So it doesn't relate to one person in effect, it's everybody.
And those relationships, I know you've got a lot of people you've dealt with for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't look old, do I?
But it's essential, isn't it? In having longevity of clients, it's going to be about your integrity and your honesty.
They WhatsApp me. So my clients I've known for years and years and years, they've got a problem. They either WhatsApp me or they call me in the car when they want to rant. I've got clients that I know have started as in sales and they're now MDs of businesses or they're in much more senior roles. I've got people that I've placed that are now in much more senior roles. So I've seen a pattern. I've built those relationships and I've earned that trust. And when I partner with a company, we're not an external recruitment partner that doesn't know their business. It's almost like we work for them, and that's what candidates say when they talk to us. It feels like they're getting to know the true values of that business, the culture of that business, before they're even sat in front of anybody who works for the company. And that's a proper partnership. That's not CV flinging, which is what happens a lot in my industry. Every day.
I every now and again, somebody will get hold of my email address and I'll get all these, would you like to interview this candidate? They're really good at doing this. And I'll be going, I don't do that, but okay.
It's also being careful with things like that, because once you've opened that email, which is what a lot of people don't understand, you've opened that email, if they've attached their terms of business, even if you've not signed anything, you've started talking to them, they will see that as an introduction and they'll go after you. And it's little things like that people don't know goes on, but it really does. It's quite terrifying, actually.
I suppose being in recruitment is a bit like being, I don't know, a doctor at a dinner party, and
everybody
and people immediately tell you about, well, I had this procedure and have a look at this.
Yeah. Do you know what? COVID was the worst time for that. And COVID actually was when I realised how much I wanted to do executive recruitment, because when an executive is out of work, they're not just a breadwinner, they're a massive breadwinner. Do you know, that kind of salary goes off the table. Mentally, emotionally, that really affects people. And I found that a lot. And I am, people tell me I'm emotionally intelligent, I'm very empathetic with people, but people do feel they can open up to me and talk to me, which is great, but it also means that I'm able to advise them and guide them, because I've had those situations and I've listened to those situations with people.
Yeah, it's almost a bit like a confessional as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because people have to be, people don't like talking about, salary and how much disposal of income they need after the mortgage and the bills have been paid, or the fact that maybe they had a company car and now they haven't got a car, and all of those things. It's all a bit personal.
They're very proud.
Just having that conversation, they've got to trust you completely to do that. Yeah. So it is a bit like a confessional, isn't it? So
yeah.
We met for the first time in real life last year at the UK Metals Expo, which is held in September at the NEC. And we met in real life for the first time then. And you very kindly came along and listened to a couple of panel discussions that I was doing for the UK Metals Expo, one with Tata Steel. And this year, you're going to be doing panel discussions and exhibiting at UK Metals Expo as well, which is really good. Well, you know what to expect because you saw it all last year. So
yeah, well, I've been to the last two because obviously there's been two, hasn't there? And this is the third one. So obviously I've been a visitor. I never thought I'd be exhibiting. But it just feels like the right time, from kind of an authority point of view, a credibility point of view. A lot of my clients are there. A lot of my biggest clients are there. And they've been in my ear saying, oh, come along. And, I had a bit of a bad experience putting myself forward to exhibit at another expo where they said they don't have recruiters. And I threw it back and questioned it. So, I thought, you know what, this is somewhere I know I'm accepted. And this is somewhere that I know, I've got a purpose to be there.
I think for me, if I'm going to an expo as a visitor, I would much rather there be a recruiter stand that I can go and talk to than be standing on the stand I've paid lots of money for and then have the recruiters come to the stand who've come in on a free pass and go, would you like to work with us? And it'll be that I'll take your card, but I'm not here to be sold to.
No, exactly. And I'm not that kind of person. I said to you, I felt really uncomfortable going up to people. And I literally just went up to people and, and was saying, can I steal some sweets for my kids? And, oh, by the way, I'm a recruiter. Please don't run away. I'm not trying to sell your grandmother. Because again, that's the reputation, unfortunately, that recruiters have got. And that's what I'm trying to avoid, because we're genuinely not like that. We do care. I only work with people I want to work with. I walk away from business if it doesn't feel, they've got the right integrity or I want to partner with them. I will walk away. And the same with candidates. And I know there aren't many recruiters that operate in that way.
And I think that when you're trying to sort of change the narrative of an industry, doing things the way you're doing it, exhibiting at the UK Metals Expo, and talking as well there, doing a panel there, that's going to help. Just say, look, we're slightly different. The proof's in the pudding. Have a conversation with us.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to wave a bit of paper under your nose for you to sign your life away.
No, we don't do that. We don't. I mean, we're part of the supply chain. At the end of the day, you can't run a business if you haven't got the right stuff in there. And it's really difficult, as you've said, to attract those people. And people use such old-fashioned methods of trying to recruit people. And it doesn't work anymore because people don't actually think about who they're talking to. They put a generic advert out there that usually says something like, we are excited to be representing. And then you've just got bullet points, which is a very lazy version of a job spec. And you won't see that in any of our adverts. We get to know the people that we're recruiting on behalf of so that we can put that message out to attract the right person. I actually, when I'm writing an advert, I imagine I'm in a pub and I'm chatting to that person and I'm telling them why they should leave where they are now to come and work for you, for example. Or, they've been made redundant, they're out of work. What is in it for them to come and work for you? And that's what people don't think about. I think you hit the nail on the head when you did the last year at the Metals Expo, your panel discussion. They're usually called Dave. They think the world owes them a favour for, to come and work for them. And it doesn't matter what the advert looks like. But that's not the real world, is it?
No. And I think as we've progressed in some areas, we're aware of things like language in adverts.
Yeah.
That it's been generically written for, and apologies to all the Daves out there, a white middle-aged man called Dave. It's not been written for someone with a Bangladeshi heritage or a black woman or a Chinese woman. And the language isn't going to excite people who aren't Dave, and we're limiting the pool we can fish in by doing that. Absolutely. No disrespect to Daves, there are some great Daves out there.
Lovely Daves.
You also, when we were at the expo last year, very, very kindly brought me along one of your fabulous Martial Harmony umbrellas, which you put in the goodie bags for the Women with Metal conference I held last year. So thank you so much for supporting us on that. It was really, really appreciated. And I'm absolutely still terrified about this year. But I know you've bought some tickets to come along. So thank you so much for your support. It is appreciated.
Sarah and I both coming and really looking forward to it.
So, the speakers are, they were good last year, and we've got some returnees and some newer ones, and we're recording something with manufacturing television end of the month with Jeremy and Steph. So keep an eye out for that. And you just mentioned like Sarah's coming with you to the conference, and she was talking to you about the UK Metals Expo. So she's just joined your team, and you've got, was it 3 in the team now?
So I've got Sarah and I've got Ellie. So I do all the recruiting, and I was doing all the marketing. I was always very bad at admin because I did it after once the kids were in bed. So that's why I recruited Ellie. Because she is the process queen. She keeps, I joke about our CRM system being pre-Ellie and post-Ellie as to what information is actually on there. And we're having a new CRM system at the moment, which the idea of implementing that would make me rock back and forth. But she's absolutely loving it. So she does all the kind of process, admin, keeping me organised, bit of a PA, type thing. And then Sarah is fantastic, everything marketing. I've just promoted her to marketing manager this morning in her 3 months.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Yeah. But I didn't expect to find a Sarah. I originally actually thought about an apprentice. And although I completely believe in apprentices, for me personally, my business coach said to me, "You've already got 2 kids. What do you want another one for?" And she was very right. That for my business, I completely agree with apprentices for a bigger business when you've got more time to spend. But Sarah has looked at my whole marketing plan. So lots of LinkedIn strategy, lots of other platforms. She's got me on TikTok, which is a bit weird, but we're getting there. We're going to have our own podcast, which I can say is going to be called Hire Me Maybe, which is quite quirky. Hence the background as well. We're trying to make it all sort of podcastable, shall we say? But
hey, I've got a ginormous factory behind me. It's
this is, and that's what we're trying to do actually with our stand for Metals Expo. Changing the subject a bit, we're going to make our stand look like our office. So we're going to bring some of our office furniture in, so it actually looks like somebody's coming into the office, which we thought would be quite nice. But no, Sarah's put a whole plan together, and do you know what it's going to do? It will make the business much more robust. There's a lot of marketing channels we don't use. There's a lot of stuff. Like I say, my clients contact me via WhatsApp. That's not, it's not really the way to, but it works.
And that's it. And the one thing that we all do with our business is if it works, you can expand those channels, but don't get rid of the one that that they prefer. I had someone who worked for me for quite a short time in a business development role, and he said, "Oh, so and so forever calls everyone mate on the phone, and he never picks up the phone. He's always sending emails, and it's not right." And I went, "Well, he's worked with me for 8 years." He said, "And yesterday he brought in $7,000 worth of business. How much did you bring in?" He went, "Oh, I didn't get any orders yesterday." And I went,
"People buy off people."
Yeah. I said, if a customer wants to communicate with us via WhatsApp or carrier pigeon, we'll make it happen. We're not going to dictate to our customers how they should deal with us.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
We have to do that, but you need to give them as many options as you can.
Yeah.
So you talking about that and communication and everything. One of the reasons you have on your website for people to choose you as a partner is you mention you deal with everyone with honesty, transparency, and humour. And I really, really like that because it comes across talking to you, and what I know of you anyway, is that you're not in it as a transactional business. You mentioned earlier working in partnership, and that people see you as part of the company that they're interviewing for.
I genuinely, I'll give a shit. Genuinely, that's how I feel. If I'm not happy about something, I'll say it. I can be quite blunt, but I can also get the right information out of people by being like that sometimes. You know, if I think a client is going a completely wrong route for something, I will tell them and I'll bring them back. You know, same with a candidate. If they get feedback that probably could be quite uncomfortable feedback, I will make sure they get that feedback, but they will get it in a nice way. Do you know what I mean? So
that sort of feedback, though, whether it's to the client or to the candidate, the more uncomfortable it is, tends to be the stuff we need to know.
You need to know, absolutely. Yeah.
And a lot of people will go, you know, we've interviewed people over the past, and somebody will say, you're not going to be successful going forward. And I interviewed someone and said, I'm sorry, you won't be successful going forward. And he said, why? And I said, throughout this interview, you've called me potentially your new managing director, babe, 4 times. And I was like, my name isn't Babe, it's Kirsty. All right, babe, yeah, got it. And I'm just like, no.
There's a level, isn't there?
You know, no. Everybody has colloquialisms that they use, but if I mention it to you, please learn from it. And it was just, I mean, there were other reasons as well, but that one for me was that's a definite no before we even get into anything else. So with Sarah and Ellie joining you and taking over the marketing and freeing you up from sort of the admin operational side, obviously that gives you time to focus on more strategic things and director-led aspects and doing things like talking to me. But it also means you can focus on your work-life balance. And I know not so long ago you played Eliza Doolittle, and you're now directing musical theatre as well. So when we're talking to people or interviewing people, there's an aspect of performance in that, or when you're trying to win new business. As much as you want to be honest, you need the confidence to be able to do it, which I think is what I mean more by the pretending.
I'm a professionally trained actress and singer, and although I can stand on a stage and play Eliza Doolittle, and you know, Saturday I was singing in a concert, in business it's very different. I mean, I suffer a lot with imposter syndrome because it's me. So I do occasionally put the mask up, and I know how to handle myself. It's not fake. It's a version of, if that makes sense. So it's being able to kind of put those barriers up a little bit until I let people in. Like the idea of me going into a room full of people I don't know, people don't get it with me, my performance background, it petrifies me. You saw what I was like at the Metals Expo. I think I was sat interjecting into your panel discussion with my hand literally shaking because I didn't feel comfortable. But I wanted to give my point of view because I felt it was important and I felt it was valid. And I did the same last week when I went to a chamber event about imposters. It was about imposter syndrome. And I had so much I could share because I'd been on a course with a lady called Laura Hand. At the time I was quite poorly and my life was unravelling a little bit, and I needed that. And I felt me sharing that with those women last week was what I needed to do. But I was literally sat there with a shaking hand, and then they took the microphone off me. I said, I don't need the microphone, I can project. And I felt much more comfortable. So I think my acting background gives me the ability to be able to see through things a lot easier. I can see when somebody's putting on an act, or I can see different character traits, because when I'm talking to people, again, it sounds a bit weird, I'm looking for, could they be a character one day that I'm performing? I sort of take things from people. So, you know, like Eliza, there were bits of Eliza that were my daughter. The bit when she's in the lessons, you know, learning how to speak properly, and she's all grumpy and, you know, like that. I was like, I just need to be Bella. Do you know what I mean? So I use it to my advantage from that point of view.
I think it's really interesting that quite often we bring different traits of our character to the fore, depending who we are and what we're doing.
I am a chameleon. I'm aware of that. Yeah, I can adapt. I think that's the way. Most
yeah.
salespeople are. You have to be.
Completely. I had an operations manager work for me for many, many years, and if we did a big client visit, we'd sort of put up outside and he'd go, right, you're going to put Kirsty on now then, and it's one of those things that you're almost showing yourself in that slightly better light, if you like. And one of the things I'm terrible for is my accent drifts into whoever I'm talking to, what their accent is.
My husband can tell if I've been on the phone all day to local people like Dudley or Walsall or Wolverhampton. I pick it up, I mimic it, and I don't even realise I'm doing it. Like when I was at drama school, I lived in Essex, and I ended up with an Essex accent, which is helping with this next show I'm directing because it's in Dagenham. So when we did the auditions, I was like, that's not an Essex accent, that's a Cockney accent. They're very different. So it's I have got a very good ear, but I honestly don't even realise, if I've been with certain people. Gareth, my husband, can tell.
I don't even know I'm doing it half the time.
No, you won't.
No, I don't know I'm doing it at all. It tends to be, excuse me, words that you would pronounce differently. So, I don't know, in the West Midlands, Bath or Bath, and
say Bath because I'm Shropshire.
Yeah, well, we use both in the West Midlands, and I use both depending on who I'm talking to, and I don't consciously choose it, whether it's a short or a longer. It just comes out that way.
It's like, because I work a lot in the fastener industry, and that's how I would say. That's genuinely how I would say it. But it's fasteners, isn't it? But fasteners is how I would say it. But that's my Shropshire twang.
Yeah, I'd say fastener. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting, and one of the things that I love about working in the manufacturing sector is a lot of the people that we deal with, it doesn't sort of matter their job role. They could be a managing director of a 10, 15, 20 million pound SME or, 100 grand a year. Nearly everyone we talk to is open and passionate about their business.
Yeah.
And it's great to see industries like recruitment, someone like yourself, who are looking at that and recognising that, and almost not looking at it as transactional, let's make a few quid and run away, but are in it for the long haul.
It's collaboration. It's working collectively and in collaboration. That's what it's about. Like I said at the beginning, it's not just a quick call, spec somebody in, I don't know you, I'm going to place them with you. It's, okay, talk to me about your business. How do you feel about recruitment? What's good? What's bad? Give me the good, bad and the ugly so that I can work with you to make it better. Recruitment is painful. It really is for people. It's an absolute bane of their life. And I'm working with, which I know you're happy to get involved in, a couple of ladies with it. Well, it's not within the Black Country Chamber, but we're doing it. We've been put together by the Chamber, and we're doing an event in October to do with skill shortage, and that's going to be at the EMC. And we're trying to confirm the date at the moment, and that's all going to be around how you deal with that skill shortage, and we can all talk about our different areas. So Kerry is action coach, so she can talk about it from kind of a business and a coaching point of view. Carolyn is a marketing expert, so she can talk about it from that point of view. And obviously I'm a recruitment expert, so I can talk about it from that point of view. And then obviously we'll get everybody that attends to, collaboratively talk together about how they deal with things and, interject how they want to. So we think it's going to be a really good forum. We're going to call it the Manufacturing Collective Forum. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to share ideas and create a bit of a roadmap, really, to deal with this skill shortage.
Absolutely. One of the things that's become very noticeable since COVID, but things started to change at the financial crash in 2008 is there is a lot more collaboration. There really, really is. In fact, at the UK Metals Expo last year, a lot of my clients there, and one of them said to me, it's almost not about going to the UK Metals Expo and go, hi, I'm Kirsty, I polish stainless steel, send me some stainless steel. It's more about being seen there and being in the room with, 50% of your main clients. They're all there, all exhibiting, probably more. And talking to each other and talking to your competitors as well, carefully, but talking to them, because we're all in it together. There's enough out there for everybody. It's about creating almost an industrial strategy moving forward. And of course, as we record this, we now have a new government, and hopefully moving forward, there will be some grown-ups in the room who actually have a plan, which would be nice.
And who listen.
Which would be nice. But just having that cautiously collaborative attitude, even towards your competitors, it's only going to make the sector better. It's healthy. That's all it can do.
We're part of a network called Team, which is basically lots of smaller, well, not all small, but sort of smaller recruitment companies is how it was founded, who don't have a HR department, who don't have all the support that, the bigger boys have. And we attended an event, it was a conference about a month ago now, and it was fantastic. And I'm talking to my competitors. I'm talking to people in Lichfield. I'm talking to people in Dudley. And we're sharing ideas. And if we're struggling to fill a role, those are the people I'll go to, and I will work in partnership with them. And I'm not afraid to do that. I think that's the right way to do things, because then the client wins. It's not, it's not just about me. It's about the client getting the right candidate and the right caliber.
I always remember one of my favourite Christmas films, Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And Kris Kringle tells a mum to go and buy the toy cheaper at a different department store. And then Coles start they've got like yellow pages at the desk, and people like ringing around to find the best deal for their customers. And it pretty much is, do it the Coles way. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Laura. We've run over. I knew we would. I knew we would. Good luck at the UK Metals Expo. I look forward to seeing you there. And thank you so much for coming on. I have to decide if this is going to be called The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, or wouldn't it be lovely?
Thank you.